Everyone, please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Okay, Ashley, can I have a roll call, please?
Jurdy.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Briggs.
Here.
Cavalier.
Here.
Kressel.
Here.
Clot.
Here.
Menard.
Here.
Hibma.
Here.
Okay, it's time for the open forum. If anyone would like to address council on any issue not already on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please. Hearing nothing from the chambers. Weston, anybody on the phone bridge, please? No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Agent logged off.
All right, no presentations. This brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add anything to tonight's agenda? Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved, Your Honor.
I'll second it.
Okay, so who was our
I
first?
think I heard
one?
Delane first and then Dawn.
Okay.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Okay, this brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Can I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We got Joe and Don, thank you. Roll call, please.
Jurdy.
Can I just ask for clarification? Is there anywhere else that's selling fireworks?
No, they would be the only one that would, that's why they need to apply with us, is selling throughout
Okay.
Walmart. So,
All right.
So no one else has applied?
no one else has applied, so. Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Okay, no public hearings. This brings us to the regular agenda. Ashley, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Item 8.01 is a resolution regarding the appointment of Nick Nicholas to the Development Policy and Review Committee.
Thank you. Do I have a motion
So
to
moved.
approve this
Second.
resolution? I got
Tim?
Tim and Don.
Okay.
Discussion.
I'm gonna get you.
Yes, Ryan Palm has left the city for a new job, and since he's no longer a resident of the city, not eligible to serve on this committee. I considered a list of names and approached Nick Nicholas, given his background on the EDA and chief board and his knowledge about finance. Asked him if he would consider this, and he said yes, he would, and he would gladly be appointed.
I think he's one of the brightest business minds in our community, so.
Thank you. Further discussion.
He's been great on the EDA, so
Yep.
appreciate everything he's done.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.02 is a resolution regarding the purchase equipment for the Ray Eklund Complex with reserve funds.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Don. Thank you. Discussion.
What we have here, there are some projects predominantly for storage under the new stadium seating and fencing at the Ray Eklund Complex for 2 diamonds. There is budgeted in this year's budget $60,000, but the potential cost exceeds that. The Baseball Association has committed funds on a 50-50 basis, and the anticipated cost then would be $80,000 on the part of the city and the Baseball Association contributing the remainder for this project. The reserve funds were reserved for Ray Eklund Complex, so they're there and ready to be spent if you so approve.
So just to clarify, they're not reserved funds for Park and Rec.
Correct.
They're reserved funds for that complex itself.
Correct.
And they're not held in reserve for equipment that we need to buy in the future or anything like that?
They're held for the Ray Eklund complex.
Okay.
It's restricted then.
To that, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Jerdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Clot,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.03 is a resolution regarding the engagement of Advanced Engineering and Environmental Services LLC, AE2S.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to
So
approve
moved,
this
Your Honor.
resolution? Got one by
I'll second.
Tim and Christie. Thank you. Discussion.
Yes, what this is it's a culmination of a fairly lengthy process. If you'll recall, you authorized a request for proposals to go out for publication for proposals. The city did receive 6 proposals from various firms, and the committee, consisting of our utilities supervisor, public works director, our community development director, myself as city administrator, had the opportunity to independently review each of those proposals and then meet independently or together with all and each of the proposers for this engagement. Those interviews lasted between an hour and a half and 2 hours, considering questions from all of us here. And after then, we adjourned and we independently tabulated as best we could scores on this matter. We again came back together and compared scores and discussed the implications of this particular decision. When it became clear that the Widseth firm was not in the top 3, we again considered the impact on the city and then made our recommendation to you tonight.
Was it the consensus of your committee, and thank you to the whole committee for their hard work on this project, but was it the consensus that the process was fair?
I believe it was the consensus. It was fair. We developed questions that we asked each firm. We developed scoring criteria, and we acted independently before we came back together. We then tabulated the scores and then had discussion about what those scores meant for the city, keeping in mind that the obligation of our committee was to do what we thought was best for the city overall. So certainly, engineering skills, availability, expertise, and in my opinion, one of the overriding criteria in this recommendation is that this particular engineering firm not only has a bevy of engineers, but they have a department that is very astute in identifying grants, pursuing grants, obtaining grants, administering grants that could be very helpful for the city as we go forward. As you all know, we have potentially a number of projects going forward.
So is it to your understanding that Widseth doesn't offer that service?
They offer the grant writing, but the degree to which they offer administration and helpful to the city did not meet the level that this particular firm
So the
does.
challenge that I have with this is that we got a firm that's been a bedrock in our community for, I don't know how many years,
Approximately 80 with the city.
approximately 80
50,
with-
excuse me, not 80, 50.
Okay, and so we've had families that have moved here and have participated in the taxes of our city and paid taxes for the school. And, you know, I've always been a pro Crookston business person, and here we are, we're telling a Crookston business that we don't need them anymore for the city.
Delane, I really think that,
So hold,
that
can I,
in this
can I
instance.
finish though? Then you can talk after I'm done.
Sure.
And then, you know, we're telling this business that have been in the city for 80 years that, you know, we don't need them anymore. And has there been issues with with Seth for us to start looking at other avenues?
There have been issues, yes,
Has it been brought to their attention?
yes.
And they just flat out said, I'm sorry, can't work with you?
No, it's not that simple. We were given a survey some months ago that was distributed to each of our department heads, evaluating various aspects of the.
So one of the issues that I know that it seems like they've been getting blamed for is the water issue up at the drafts and
That's a county,
the sports complex, right?
but that's a county.
That's a county,
Yeah, that's.
But that's what I've been hearing, that they've been kind of taken to task on that. And is that not true?
That was not a consideration for us.
For with Seth?
Correct.
Okay.
That was a county matter. What we did consider was when we received the survey from them, departments had completed it and returned all of those to the Widseth office in Brainerd, which is my understanding is their primary office at this point. At that time, we were contacted by, I don't know if it's a CEO or managing partner, who actually came to Crookston, sat down. We went over those particular surveys, and they were not great. Let's be frank about it. They were not positive responses, which led to us considering a request for proposals. They did address some of those issues, absolutely address some of those issues. And we've had another conversation again with that CEO about how it was going, and I admitted, and it wasn't an admission, it's been better. But the degree of services which we found as a group from AE2S, in our opinion, was better.
Okay. Is this gonna save us money?
I can't tell you it's gonna save us money. I
Well,
can't tell you it's
they
gonna
have-
cost us more.
Each of them has fee schedules, right? So
Correct.
Is the fee schedules more or less?
The fee
And with
schedules
Seth.
are, in some instances are more, in some instances are less, and as you all know, it depends on the projects you have. It depends on how much volume you have, how much you go forward with, and certainly Widseth would be able to bid on projects that are out there, just as we've had other people bid on projects. But what you're suggesting did not go unnoticed by the committee. We had conversations about the fact that Widseth had been our firm for 50 years. They were founded here, and that was a point of conversation, for sure. And as we looked at the proposals, as we go forward as a city, it was our opinion as a group that we owed the city the determination of what was best for the city as we go forward. And in our opinion, for some of the reasons that I've discussed, and we can have committee members come up and talk about this, this was the recommendation that we brought forward. That's not to disparage Widseth in any way, but this was a better option in the opinion of the group.
I've had some comments from Ward 4 about Widseth, Smith and Nolteen, and they live here. They have been here 50 years, over 50 years, and they're concerned about keeping people here in Crookston that have done a job for the city. And I said, well, if you have some complaints or your concerns, you should come tonight and talk about them to the council. And I don't see anybody that came to the council tonight, so I presume that they're maybe satisfied with the decision that we make tonight.
I would also say that I think that close to what Corky was saying and with the committee, that it definitely should be a consideration that Widseth has been here, but it shouldn't be the only consideration. And I think that they had the opportunity, just like the other 5 firms had the opportunity to share with what they had available, and that committee made the best decision based on that information that was provided to them. And I think that it wasn't something that was done in a quick process. It was, I think, very thorough. had the opportunity to talk to some of the committee members. I was able to look at their rating system. It seemed like it was pretty well thought out in how they were rated. And so I don't think that's to say anything against anybody here, but just, I think that they were very thoughtful in it. I think that the conversations and the comments that I received from the public is partly just that they didn't understand that there was a really thorough process, and they thought it was just a quick, like, instead of here, we're doing here, but not that we provided the request for proposals, provided the opportunity for all of these engineering firms to come to present and provide what their services are, and then make the best decision for our city at this time. And especially with the direction that we're going right now, I think that having a firm that can provide especially those funding aspects and attributes is really an important piece for us.
Go ahead.
Oh, so, I mean, I also received some calls today, and I reached out and did receive those questions that were asked in the scoring, which I appreciate, and I think there, to your point, was a lot of thoughtfulness in there. My question is so you're saying that AE2S provides services for like funding and helping with that. Has Woodseth ever come to us with saying, here is funding that we know about, here is grants that we could go after? Have they ever come to us with those options?
I can only speak to the time I've been
Right,
here.
and that's all I can ask
don't know
for.
before that. There was one funding opportunity, and I don't know if it was initiated by Woodseth or by the city, but we did coordinate with their grant writer to attempt to obtain some funding, which we did not receive. But that was the only time I recall in the time that I've been here. I can't speak to the past. I will say that the AE2S group has a unit within its firm called Nexus, which specializes in only finding funding, analyzing funding. They have engaged a lobbyist at the Minnesota legislature, or a part of a conglomerate that does have a lobbyist. And they, in fact, use the same law firm that the city uses for employment matters in that effort. That was one of the, in my opinion, I can only speak to myself, if others want to speak, that was a significant component because we do seek, or need to seek funding. We are very cognizant of our levies. We are very cognizant of how we proceed forward with paying for those things that this council has indicated are appropriate for this city to do. So that was, for me, significant, but also significant. I born and raised here, came back. I know Woodseth. They have done well for us at certain periods of time. Again, it's not to criticize in any way, but, you know, I'm a baseball guy, and this is like, you got a good pitcher, but you got a better pitcher. They're both good. But in my opinion only, AE2S was a better option.
Corky, did you say that Woodseth Smith Knowlton could apply for or write up contracts?
Oh,
or-
if there are projects in the future that a city engineer would say, we need to do this, and we put it out for bids, if they can do that.
So Corky, using your analogy, pictures, got a kid that's grown up his whole life here, went through our grade school system, went through our high school system, great pitcher, probably gonna get us the state, but here comes a kid from East Grand Forks transferring in, and we're just gonna put him in a starting lineup, roll over this other kid that's worked his butt off all these years to get to that spot. That's my analogy of it. I mean, I see your analogy, but that's my analogy.
I think at the end of the day, we're trying to do what's best for the city.
Yeah.
So, and I just kind of want to go back. So, just to clarify, from my understanding, from talking to Woodseth today, because they did call, so it's something that they offer, but it would be us having to go to them and ask them to seek this out, or us seeking out opportunities and going to them and asking for help on it, where this company is more of one that would be seeking these out for us and coming to us and bringing options, at least our understanding. So it would.
Well, maybe not after tonight, but that has been my understanding and my experience in the 2 years.
From what was presented to us? And,
Yes.
Okay.
That
And I
this-
also, can I just clarify onto that point too, with the understanding of this nexus is that there's somewhat of a proactive element in which they would also be making sure that we get on the appropriate like government funding pages, which I think is pretty important for us to apply for certain types of funding. Is that not correct?
Yes, this Nexus unit does do that.
And we're sure that Woodseth doesn't offer anything like that.
That was not presented to us during our interviews, nor was it presented over in the pamphlets that we got.
I mean, can you guys speak to that, Chichi, here? Do you guys offer anything like that? Within,
Not with the Nexus. We do have a funding program that's very good, very knowledgeable, but we do not utilize the Nexus program.
My next question, is there any other, was there anything other than just that they E2S brought in their presentation that you, as a committee, preferred or thought was, that you graded higher than Woodseth?
I can only, again, speak for
Speak
myself.
to yourself, yes, and that's why.
One of the things I graded higher was their ability and expertise in water. Woodseth had a water component to it, but I felt that this, had a better rural water system ability and potentially some funding sources, because there is a development of a rural water district. And that was one thing that I saw, or I did, place some emphasis on. And I just felt that they had a broader-based service offering.
Brandon, would you also feel the same way about the water?
You know, and like Corky said, it's hard to come to this conclusion with a local business. But what I looked at in the process was looking for somebody that was more proactive. And you know, one of my questions for all the firms was, if we're going to develop, let's just say we're going to buy a quarter land for residential or commercial, you know, what would you bring to the conversation on what would be critical? Let's just say there's 5 quarters. What would be critical in our decision-making process for acquiring one quarter over the other? And you know, a lot of them mentioned, you know, the utilities that were close to it and la-di-da-di-da. And, you know, the Pirate Drive thing, I wasn't involved in the stormwater then. I don't know who said not to look into it. But there's been times when, like a water and a sewer line are engineered at the same elevation. And I know mistakes happen, but it's been more than once, twice in my experience. So,
so it's to my understanding that the development of that area was done before we even did a water study for, is that correct?
From my understanding, yes, of the Pirate Drive area.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, that was, I don't know, 10 years ago.
I mean, I think they came to the city or to whoever and asked, I think we should do a water study first, and then they, you know, it was shot down by whatever council we had at the time to go ahead and develop it without that water study, and now that's why we're in that particular situation.
Yeah, and that wasn't, you know, that wasn't one of my defining aspects in my decision. You know, there's this, you know, like the new industrial park, if you want an example. When we put the water and sewer in on the north side of Ingersoll there, and then when it came time to send, so I think the water was on the north side and the sewer was on the south, or vice versa. I don't remember which way it went. But to get the water or to get the sewer to the south, which we knew we were going to, the elevation of the sewer went right through the middle of the water main. So we had to put 4 bends to get the water main down and then run the sewer into the, and you know, it's happened a couple of times, and it just feels like a lot of times it's an afterthought. And you know, that there's more modeling that could be done too, even in the water system, you know, as far as the water pipes go. As we move northeast, we keep tying into our existing storm sewer and sanitary sewer. And, you know, A2S, when I started working with them in the water side about 10 years ago, asked if we had ever modeled our system, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of modeling a water system. So like I said, it's hard. They're local, but there's, you know, if you look at the fee, you could look at the fee schedule side by side, and not thinking ahead of modeling and whatnot. What does that cost us at the end of the day? So that's what I considered when we had a lot of good firms that interviewed for this process. It was a hard decision, but that's all I have.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brandon. And I'd just like to say, it's difficult in a situation like this to, you know, admit that there is bias in the process. But from what I've been hearing, the bias is tending toward and tempering toward what's best for the city of Crookston at this time, as we're looking at going into a period of significant infrastructure renewal. And this is a competition, and it was described as a fair competition. And if any of you have ever competed for a high-level job, your resume went in, you had an opportunity to have face-to-faces and do a presentation with the hiring authorities, and who gets the job? The individual or the entity that made all of the expectations of what the city or what the entity is looking for. And I want to really drive that home, that this process was careful, and they did their due diligence. And I think if all things were equal, my bias would be to go towards an entity that was a Crookston entity, all things being equal. But in this case, that doesn't fit the model.
Is there anybody else from the committee that wanted to provide some of the pros of why they chose the engineering firm? I think it's just helpful for us all to kind of just hear the process, because I think a lot of people just don't understand what all went into this.
Yeah, I thought it was a more than fair process, to Corky's point. I think it was well thought out. And, you know, there was 4 of us on the committee, and Corky came at it from a legal, you know, his mind is more legal. Mine is developer, you know, and more formal city administrator, and Brandon was water, and then public works over with Chuck. Brandon had his focus was on that. My focus was that we're doing, the request for proposals went out for our sidewalks, our roads, our city lights. We have that will be coming in, the study will be coming in this summer. And how are we going to fund all of that? So that's been in my mind ever since I got here, and we got going on that project. The other thing is knowing that in 2027, we have the Highway 2 project coming in, and that's fantastic. We worked with SRF and WITSEF on that, and MnDOT to bring that Highway 2 study. However, there's more funding coming available at this time because of what the government is doing with IIJA, and So looking at all these projects and saying, okay, who's going to really help us put a package together? I understand that we can get bids and do one road or two roads, but we're looking at multiple projects, and the opportunity right now for funding out there is more than it's ever been in the however many years I've been working with cities. So to know that there's somebody that already has a proactive branch of that, understands city funding, understands how to get us with the Public Facilities Authority onto the IUP list and getting us on the PPL and all the lists you need to be on to be able to gain public funding, you know, there was just a stronger proactive background with AE2S. I also called friends of mine that work with them in different cities, including Halsted. We called up to Thief River. We called over to different people to say, like, what is it like working with them? Yeah, I called their references, but I really went in and called people that I know that aren't going to, that I know who actually are hand boots on the ground with them. A2S had great recommendations, but I will say that there's a couple other firms that we would have been equally amazed by. But that last 5 points on the assessment sheet, which is what are the project, what are the components do they have? There's 5 points for just extra special things. I would say that their Nexus branch, which is quite aged as well and experienced, that particular thing for me put them over the top to go towards A2S versus the other two firms that were neck and neck with them. So, any questions on that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the only last thing that I got to say is, I think Liz Seth has vast knowledge of our community. That's gonna take some time for whatever firm comes in here to get up to speed on all the different things that are involved within our community, and these guys already have that knowledge going in. So,
Well, I just want to,
Yeah, feel free.
all right. I just want to say thank you, to the council. This was a hard decision for everyone in the committee. I thought we put a good committee together. Everyone looked at it at different aspects. I'm glad there were more than just myself. I've only been with the city since September. I didn't feel it was right for me to, make the call by myself. So I wasn't able to, I looked at it at a different angle than I guess the other three did. I didn't have the history with WIDSETH, so a lot of my information was based off of what was in the packet and how the interview went, and then graded them from on our score sheet. And yeah, I ended up choosing AE2S as well. So, if there's any other questions, I can try to answer those.
Is there anything specifically that, like, you felt that stood out for them than any of the other firms?
Some things that kind of stood out was that fee sheet. I kind of looked at that, and so generally those are renewed or updated every year. The one we received from WIDSETH had a lot of discounts on them. I'm not quite sure how long those were going to stay active. If the following year came around, if it would jump back up to what they normally charge. And that's what, with that discounted fee rate, is what gave them the least cost on some items, but still not all items. Whereas with AE2S, they were low on some items, but they were never the highest on any of the other items from the 6 different firms that we interviewed. So, and it looked like it was their general fee schedule that they offer all clients. So no discounts or anything like that. Their wastewater expertise, I read in their proposal, we need that. The time that they spoke about committing to the city, we needed that. I know they noted that at this time, they wouldn't relocate to the city, but they have plenty of staff, and it should be no issue having them here for any emergency or any council meeting.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chuck.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think, to your point, Delane, it is worth noting that WIDSETH is here. They have people here, they have families here, that they are members of our community. But I don't think that that can be the only reason we choose.
Well, and I don't think this is going to cause their firm to disappear. I don't know if their going concern, having a gig with the city would be the only thing that kept them a going concern. So, you know, but I don't know. I'm not their accountant.
I think they still have the opportunity to bid and so forth. We're not limited that to them, so.
Anyone else? Is there anybody from the chambers that want to speak on this issue? Let's call for the vote.
Jerdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Clot.
Nay.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, moving on to reports. Corky, please.
Well, first of all, I'd like to introduce our new marketing coordinator. He's in the back. If he could just stand up. His name is Keenan DeVeers. He comes to us, started on April 1st, and no, that's not a April Fool's joke. He's actually here. And he is now occupying what used to be the Park and Rec office, and the Park and Rec has moved out to the arena. He and I met last week on Friday and went over his projected and proposed goals for the first 30 days, and then kind of alluded to the 30 to 60 day goals and the 60 to 90 day goals, and we will be meeting ongoing concerning that. But he has some really good ideas. I don't know, I do know. Why don't you step up here and give us a little marketing yourself?
Well, that was a heck of an intro, thank you. Like Corky said, my name is Keenan DeVere. I'm really excited to be here working for the city of Crookston. Just a little bit about me, I have a bachelor's degree of marketing through the University of North Dakota, and I've grown up in small towns between North Dakota and Minnesota pretty much my entire life. And my prior experience working to this has been with a company in Grand Forks, assisting primarily Grand Forks-based businesses with their marketing, everything from radio, streaming audio, and podcasting to things like SEO and SEM, and really helping them play quarterback with their marketing decisions. And that's a little bit about me. And again, I'm just really excited to be here. Again, this is only my second week here, so I know that I have a lot to learn, but I'm really excited to work with everybody and do the best job that I can going forward.
Where do you come from?
I was born in Fargo, but kind of hopped around between, farm town in Georgetown, Minnesota, around Grand Forks area, Devil's Lake area, and kind of between North Dakota and Minnesota.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to Morgan, who helped interview various candidates, and we had a good batch of candidates, we believe. And we got the best one, so thank you. Also, this particular week, we've had a number of meetings with CLA, Clifton Larson Allen, regarding various financial matters. In fact, 2 days last week, the finance people and myself met, went over things like payroll, various categories, and they are anxious to continue working with us on that particular matter. Attended a meeting at the Government Center with Carrie and Tri-Valley to figure out about a plan forward on getting that Tri-Valley building down. And also Teams meeting with Airport, with Lowell and SEH to talk about various items. And then been on the phone frequently with Clifton Larson Allen. And then we had IT interviews. And we have identified 4 candidates in those interviews who may be appropriate for our position. And then we met with AE2S to get more particulars about how this transition could go forward if you all approve that transition So now we'll be able to meet with them again and implement those. And that's it.
Thanks, Corky. Start with Chuck tonight, anything?
Hello again. So met with a bunch of different residents, discussing mostly spring cleanup, yard waste cleanup, when that's gonna take place, what they can put out there. We have a post on Facebook and on the city website with your limitations, when you can put things out on the berm and what can go out on the berm. Some other items. Let's see, I received an email from Bolton and Mank. They're working with AE2S currently on our pavement management plan, where they're gonna analyze the streets. They gave me a post that this Friday, 4/12, there will be a vehicle with specialized camera systems driving the city streets, performing pavement conditioning assessments. And then I was told, once they have that all collected, in about 2 months, they'll have a final report for us, and we can move forward with that CIP. And that's it.
Well, thanks, Chuck. So officially spring when you got the sweet streeper out, I see, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So, thank you. Zach, anything?
So I've got a couple things since Chad was last up here, but we've got what's called M files coming into the city. It's gonna be a new document imaging server. It's gonna be publicly accessible. So the goal with that is we've also got our code getting reviewed. It will eventually end up on there and be accessible by the public to be able to pull minutes, agendas, any of the codes. Phone migration, City Hall's officially moved over to the new phone system. Tomorrow, Valley Tech will follow, and then Fire Department, Police Department, and all the shops will eventually be getting there too, once we get port dates. We're in the process of upgrading Channel 3. We're working with Midco and the church. The goal is to get the equipment in to make Channel 3 1080 instead of what we have now. City Hall will be going through a rewire, so we'll be getting new drop ports put through the walls. We'll be able to go up upstairs, make sure that it's all up to fire code. And then, as Corky already brought up, the interviews. We've got Keenan set up with all our social medias, so he can start posting on those, and that's all I have.
Can I get clarification on
Absolutely.
the codes and the agendas?
Yeah.
So is that gonna be something that's gonna be searchable, like if they're looking for something that was a resolution that was passed?
Yes.
Okay, and do we know like what the timeframe is to actually get that implemented?
So they're building the different platforms within the imaging that are gonna ask for the index values. So the first thing we're gonna do is get it set up so Ashley can start uploading to it. The second part will be taking all of our old imaging solution and bringing that in. And then the Munimetrics deal, I don't have a date on when they're gonna get through code review, but it's about a year process from what I was told. So,
And then is that easily transferable from the old system to the new for the old resolutions?
that's what I was working on this morning with them. It seems like they've got a good solution. They just have to work a few things out to make it tie in with our old system.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
Shane, please.
Yeah, well, we had our first grass fire, so that happened. Wasn't very big, but we got all of our equipment out, and we use it all. Everything's working, so ready for the next one. Our fun night for the firefighters is on the 13th. I believe a couple people have been poached and asked for tickets, so appreciate you in attendance. Participated with Polk County Emergency Manager, myself, and then Riverview. We did a regional exercise having to do with hazmat preparedness. Went through, reviewed a lot of their plans, and we've still got some work to do, but it was eye-opening for to be able to see what they actually have, what we can provide, and then the communication that's going to happen between, I guess, the responding agencies and then what would happen at Riverview at an intake facility. Been working with the pool staff on some procedures for emergencies that we need to get updated. And the last bit of good news is we had a full-time applicant accept the position. So we will be up to 5, and he will start on the 22nd of April. And that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon.
So we've received about 500 water service images, so thanks to everybody that's been sending those in. It's taken a lot of time for me and Lynn to go through all those, but it's actually working pretty well. So we've gotten a better response than I expected, so it'll save us some time having to go to each individual house. So we'll pick away at the rest of them here through the summer and have a good inventory by the deadline this fall. And then we are just started a aquifer study. Bar Engineering will be doing our aquifer study for the 6 wells out at out 12 to 18 miles east of Crookston. And this came about kind of in the epitome process where we had a large possible industrial user that was looking for 300 million gallons a year and whether the aquifer could sustain that, and we're going to get a good feel for where we're at currently and where we can go so that when we have an opportunity hopefully like that in the near future, we can say yes, we have 300 million gallons for you, or if we don't, we can move in that direction if that's where we want to be. So those are the 2 big things. The wastewater department's gonna try and get a quarter of the city jetted, cleaned. We try and do a quarter of the city a year, and we're gonna try and actually get half the town done this year. We're going to try and get the northeast corner finished up this spring, and then this fall I think we have to move to the northwest corner. So if you hear a little rumble in your house, it's the jetter tip going past your sewer service. So, and it will at times suck your floor drains dry, so if you get a sewer gas in your house after they were there, just dump a pail of water in your floor drains and it'll get the smell to go away. So
Will you guys be sending something out as far as like education for city
yes,
residents?
we
on
can.
that?
I will work with
Marketing.
our marketing guy to do that. He'll make it pretty for me. So. All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Brandon. Darren, anything?
So our patrol and investigations remain extremely busy with the warm weather. That always adds every day calls for service. As you can imagine, people out and about. If you remember, either from a previous report or maybe on KROX, we recently hosted our annual awards ceremony where where several officers and staff were recognized for their achievements in 2023. Specifically, Sergeant Heath Hansen was awarded the Medal of Valor for an incredible act of courage and bravery in a life-saving incident. As a result of that, I nominated Sergeant Hansen for a state award to the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Association. We recently learned that he was approved by the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Association Awards Committee, excuse me, for a life-saving award. This is definitely a career achievement. To receive such an award, as you can imagine, the amount of nominations that are submitted each year throughout the state of Minnesota. So truly exemplifies the highest standards, ideals of officers in our profession. So we're super proud, super happy of that. Sergeant Hansen, along with myself and several of his family members, will receive the award at the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Association Annual Awards Banquet on April 17th, so next Wednesday in St. Cloud. We recently replaced our tasers throughout the police department. Our old version was 10-plus years old and was out of service, so we've been doing in-house training with that, bringing each officer up to speed on the operations of the new tasers. We also completed all of our in-house defensive tactics trainings, and now we're moving forward and scheduling our summer firearms training. All of these, among others, are annual post-mandated trainings that we're required to do each year. Sergeant David Grabowski and Deputy Chief Nathan Nelson have been presenting recently again on active intruder trainings to several local businesses and organizations, such as Riverview, UMC, some churches and banks. It's unfortunate that we have to talk about that, but it's become a very popular training topic over the years. And we're reached, many businesses throughout the community reach out to us each year to ask for us to host those trainings. We've created a very good curriculum over the years that has been very well received by those in attendance. Every 3 years, the Crookston Police Department gets audited by the Minnesota Post Board and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. So this is a triennial year, a 3-year, where we're being audited by the Minnesota BCA. It's a 2-part audit. The first part of the audit is to review how we access the Criminal Justice Information Network, or the CJDN network. That part is how we store CJDN network data and how our policies and procedures are related to that CJDN network operations. Second part of the audit is IT security, which pertains to mechanisms or security that we have in place to access that CJDN network, and again, policies related to the security portion of that. Thankfully, it's my 4th time going through it. I've been here forever. So we're confident that we'll pass this year, and likely with very few corrections or anything that we normally have to do. So again, just a few things we're working on right now. So unless there's any questions for me.
Thanks,
All right,
Darren.
thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Greg, anything?
Just one item, Your Honor, just the Planning Commission is on next Tuesday, the 16th. We have a rezoning and a variance for one small parcel. The owner would like to do a little smaller expansion of a business, so that's basically all I have for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie?
Yeah, I just want to update you on the Emerging Small Minnesota Cities grant that we're working with the University Design Center from St. Paul. And we've been having our Thursday morning meetings. They've been pretty productive. We've come up with some strong initiatives with that. We're going to be doing more pop-up meetings. You see the little coffee thing that we have popping up, just to hear what the community has to say, what they want to see, and what projects we're focusing on. I think we've really come down to our 4 main pillars are now the river, making sure that gets highlighted and taken care of, and trails and that type of stuff happens. That's been one of the main things that the community is telling us. The other one is connectivity, not just with trails, but where we're connecting with departments. And I'm really thankful, Michelle's been there with the UMC, and then we have the downtown people are in there, and the extension is working with us, and RSDP. So we're having all these different people coming together and really communicating together on what their goals are, and then trying to pull it together with the city's initiatives. So that's been a strong one. The downtown area is huge. I mean, that's something that's dear to everybody's heart. And so I think between the group of us, we're starting to get some strong projects. And then the whole goal with this emerging grant is to find the funding to carry out the projects. So it's not just to give you a pretty picture and send you away, but it's to find the funding. So I'm on weekly calls with Mary Vogel, the person in charge of that down at St. Paul, and then with Shannon Stassen, and Linda Kingery from the RSDP. And so slowly we're starting to identify the funding. We got more meetings this week to talk about IIJA fundings and some of the extra funding that is now available to do more projects for what you guys have over this past year said that you wanted in the way of walkability, bikeability, trails, highlighting our river. So there's a lot of good projects coming up. We're getting good things out of it, but we're going to start doing the pop-up events this summer to go to the splash park, to go to baseball games, just to really catch up with the community, kind of where they're at. I won't say that we might be at a pub or two, but allegedly I might be there to talk to people, but just to really hear from different parts of the community. But every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock, we are at the Cove, and everybody's welcome to join us, and we thank you for your input. And I think, Clayton, you must be almost done with school, so you can come back. But we appreciate you, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been working with us on this, and I feel like we're making good headway, so.
Thanks, Gary.
Any questions on that?
Jake?
Yeah, as Corky mentioned, our Park and Rec department is now at the sports center. So Andrea and myself are out there. Thank you, IT. You got our new phones and everything hooked up. So we're all ready to go operating out there. Staff-wise, they have been working on numerous projects, getting things ready for, summer. We're gonna be probably mowing grass here sooner than later. So getting prepared to get ready for that. Baseball and softball have started, so we have been working at Simon Field, Loft Field, and Carn Field. So Carnes was a little wet last week, but I think is drying out. They have been practicing out there. I believe their home opener is next week. Myself, just numerous meetings with Corky on things and getting ready for summer. We're in full swing right now with our open registration for all our activities. So just staying busy with that. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Jake, can you tell me where exactly your offices are located in the CSC?
In the south entrance by the flags.
Okay.
I know there was talk, I think it was last year, about Diamond One becoming the softball field for Crookston. Is that something that's still being talked about?
It didn't pan out for the 24 season, but probably Corky about a month ago, I think we contacted the athletics director at the school, Nate, and they are looking at moving over there in 2025.
Okay.
I think it's a very probable result for
Yep.
2025. There are some accommodations that need to be made. We're actually going to be pouring cement all the way around the backstops from dugout to dugout, and then some fencing and dugouts as well. It just didn't work for the school this year.
I know, because of the time of year, because my daughter's a softball player, but time of year, how wet it can be over where they're playing behind Highland there and stuff, and parking is tough, and I think Diamond One would be a great place for it. I think the parking and all the concrete and bathrooms right there closer, I thought it was a great idea. So I was just wondering if that was something that's happening this year, or?
Yep, no, not this season, but we will be in contact for 2025. They made a verbal commitment to us, so, but there's some more steps to follow, so.
Thank you.
Jake, I want to say I really appreciate in your fund finder that you put the parks in there and highlighted that, as well as like the age appropriateness of each of the parks. I wonder if you could maybe like pick that particular slide and put that somewhere like in the Valley Voice or the Community Voice app, because a lot of times what that app really is meant for is for those people from out of town looking for things to do as well. So I'm wondering if that's another opportunity that we could.
In fact, Christy, we met with Megan actually last week. Keenan, myself, and Andrea met with her. So we're actually starting to get the ball rolling with that community app. So
awesome.
Very early stages, but we looked at it and she came in and did a great presentation and talked to us about it. So yeah.
I think it'd be a really helpful piece for people who are looking for something to do.
Exactly. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Start with Clayton, anything?
Nothing to report tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Nothing from me, sir.
Thank you. Christy?
Just to kind of hit on the community app or the Community Voice mobile app that we have. That was something that CVB had put the money towards, but it's really meant for the whole community to utilize. What I think is great about this app is it's not necessarily just for like us utilizing it in town, but for people who come from where they're at, it is location based. And so it will show whatever location you're in, the things that are going on. So I know that one of the big things for us was really to try to find like a single source of truth, a place that people can go and check what's going on in their town. And so I would really encourage people to utilize that if they have events going forward. Also, the DCDP has their last Broadway at the Grand, which is April 18th, and it's Into the Woods, and that is a free movie for people to come to, and it starts at 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Morgan?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Tim?
I just want to thank the constituents that contacted me to voice their concerns and share their opinions about the resolution this evening on the engineering firm that we selected. Gave them an opportunity to voice their opinions, and you know, civil discourse is very important. And I'm really thrilled to engage with our community members in this process. Don't always agree, and that's the democratic process. I also want to say kudos to our city staff, because I've been on this board for a year and 4 months, and we have been through nothing but chaos and transition. And the resilience for the folks that do this hard work for us really is outstanding. So just a round of applause for the hard work that you've been doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Delane?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Joe?
No report, Your Honor.
Don?
Well, I don't believe it's chaos. But anyway, Ward 4 is a committee is going to be planning a meeting in the near future, April 18th, to review some things for Ward 4. So that's coming up, and then the Chamber of Commerce is beginning to move forward now, and they are moving and sending out their membership drive and so forth. And so if any of you here own businesses in town and so forth, you might want to join. We're looking for people, so thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to sit through interviews for IT last week, and I just want to thank Darren and Weston and Zach for helping out with that. I think we had very good candidates, and hopefully we have that filled sooner than later. Kian, welcome. Morgan, thank you for spearheading our marketing. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you. A long-serving council member, Tom Ved Broughton, I just want to offer my condolences to his family on the passing of his son. So, you know, thoughts and prayers are with him. So, just a reminder, there is no Ways and Means meeting tonight. So nothing else to come to council. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.